Hello, friends. It's me, Beth. And I did get some photos to share with you of my small garden, the big garden, and a photo from the corn patch. I wasn't able, or I guess I shouldn't say I wasn't able, I did not take photos of the watermelon and the winter squashes patch. There wasn't a whole lot there to see. So anyway, we're going to start with the small garden. Those peas are in the small garden, and at the end of the video, I'll share with you as I walk through the peas. Here are a few photos of the cabbage I grew. Now, if you've been here before, you know that 99% of this stuff I grew either in my front window from seed, or I planted the seed directly into the gardens and grew it that way. With these pictures, you'll see that these cabbage, this one here looks sort of bluish green, and in this next photo, it's going to look a little bit like of a bright green. That's because it's just a different time of day. I thought I'd share with you that, sometimes I take these photos in the morning and sometimes I take them in the evening, but I'm not playing with my phone or anything like that, adjusting the color of the photo. This is exactly what I'm seeing when I'm out there. Here's one little broccoli head. I went out there then a day or so later, and this is what it looked like. I thought it looked like a snowflake, and I kept watching it, and then actually just yesterday, this is what it looked like. So it's growing. I'm not the best at growing broccoli. I'm not the best at growing carrots. And a lot of people, right here, potatoes, a lot of people have no problem growing potatoes. It's hit and miss with me. So this first little area of potatoes, these are red Pontiac potatoes. These grow great here. They're a real nice bushy plant. You can see I've got some flowers and buds on top. The ground is starting to crack. So I know we're going to be making some red potatoes out there in the little garden. Now, don't worry about those weeds on the side. This is right out in the middle of the yard where we used to have a pool. So this is on the outside row, and that's the grass in the yard. These are a different variety. These are more of a Yukon Gold style. You can see they have a few little flowers, but not a lot. They're a lighter green plant, a much leggier plant. Now, I had them healed up pretty good, but we got rain and they shot up. So I think what I'm going to have to do, there's not a lot of soil left to heal up anymore. I think I'm going to have to get in there and these spaces and add some straw. That way if any potatoes pop through, they're blocked from the sunlight. This is our largest collard green plant. This is when it's the early morning, and you can see it's like a regular green. And then here, once the shade in the evening comes, it looks more of a little bit of a bluish green. I have about 15 of them in the sandy garden, and that is the biggest one out of all of them at this point. I've mentioned before I love these little turnips. These are a silky sweet variety that I bought from Burpee. I was picking one a day because they were so great. Now I'm picking about 4 or 5 because we have so many. I'm not letting them get full size. My grandpa, he would be like, "Why are you doing that?" He let his zucchini, his squash, everything get huge because he had a big family to feed. Here, we eat it as it comes on. And this is that little area where we had a pool 3 years ago. Once we tore it down, I put in the garden. I had around that pool deck, when we had the pool, planted some grape and cherry tomatoes, and they grew like 8 foot tall. And I told my husband, I said, once we pull the pool out and once we pull this deck out, I'm going to just make a little garden spot. We don't have one of those beautifully landscaped lawns. Our grass is mostly weeds. So why not just go with it and grow some vegetables in that spot? Here is our peach tree, and I actually counted more than 30 peaches on it, which was really surprising to me because we had that late frost. And that's the most peaches I've seen on this little tree. Super excited. The pear tree, it did not fare as well. It doesn't look like we're going to get a lot out of it. The 2 little apple trees we planted this year, they are alive and well. So that orchard space is growing. Down in the big garden, I have about a 50-foot row of these Blue Lake bush beans. Over by the corn patch, I have a 50-foot row of string beans, and those hopefully will climb up on that corn. And those, like I said, those are over there. I planted 6 cucumber plants. They're different varieties. These were a direct sow into the ground. Last year, I did like half and half direct sow, half started early. And we couldn't tell a huge difference in when they started producing or how much they produced. So this year I just went with the direct sow into the ground method. and hopefully that works out well for us. We have our pepper plants doing well. They're quite a bit taller. They're about 2 or 3 inches taller since these photos were taken. I probably am going to clip the tops off and see if that helps this year bear a little bit more fruit. We have the California Wonder for our green peppers. I did a jalapeno pepper and a sweet banana pepper. And all together, I don't think 45 are out there, but we're probably close to the 40 range. I have, this is, I believe, a zucchini plant. 6 of those, 2 different varieties. I planted 6 of the yellow summer squash, but only 4 of them have survived. They're about that same size. And this here, this is the only thing I bought this year. This is my son's favorite. He loves acorn squash, and I did not have any seed left over from years past, and I did not buy any. So when I was at that Amish greenhouse in my previous video, I grabbed a 4-pack of these and planted those for him. They were only $1.99 for all 4 plants. Also down there, you know, I had planted those tomatoes. This is the outside row. These are interdeterminate tomatoes, various varieties. So yes, I do prune them. I am not a super pruner. I do not pick off every sucker or anything like that. I don't try to grow like 6 of the hugest, most beautiful tomatoes for competition. We grow these, you know, they're to eat, to can with, etc. and, you know, give away. So I prune them. Each plant is different. I look it over and see what kind of conditions it's in. And I know some people are super pruners, and that's fine. Me, I'm kind of somewhere in the middle. I do about half of what I would consider super pruning. And these are all tomato plants that I grew in my front window. No grower light. Just planted the seeds in the little containers and then switched them out later to cups. And this is the outside row. The next row over is about 3/4 this size. And then the row with the cherry and tomato grapes, or Roma tomatoes, I mean, it's not quite half that size. So that's where we're at. And I don't know how many, you know, at one point I probably had 80 or 90 tomato plants, and I've gave some away, and we've lost a few down there. So we're probably at 50 or 60 maybe. I don't know. I should count them probably. Here are those peas. These have the edible pods, and these are one of my favorites. I was injured when I put them in the ground. I barely made it in time. And later, my husband hurt himself. He can barely move right now. And anyway, and so during this process, I ended up taking some spare tomato cages and just sticking them near around those pea plants. And guess what? It worked. They grew up them just fine. I had my little fence that I normally use and the stakes, but didn't get it in the ground. And this was like a makeshift. You'll learn if you're a prepper or gardener, not everything goes to plan, and sometimes you just do what you got to do. And that was the easiest thing for me that day, was just to stick these old bent up tomato cages. And actually this is just a little piece of fence that we had turned into a tomato cage. Put them right around the pea plants, and they grew wonderfully. So you can't beat that. And we're still picking these off. This was the beginning of the week. Every day I'm going out there, I'm getting 2 to 3 handfuls when I pick them off. And there's plenty of blooms. So real happy with that situation. This is what the corn looks like. I shouldn't say that. The corn is quite a bit bigger. This was the beginning of the week. But the corn is popping up. If you're worried about the top part of that photo that looks like I need a rototill, that's the outside of the corn patch. And I will get to that. So this is what I planted Silver Queen this year. I haven't planted that in 10 years, and I don't know why I did this year. I just decided I needed to do something different. We were doing some of the peaches and cream type style varieties, and I just wanted something different this year for the freezer. Maybe here's one of the flower beds. Maybe one day I'll get to the flower beds even and share that with you. But I hope you're doing well. I hope the video was okay. Take care, and as usual, I'll be talking to you again real soon.